Okay, let's first start off with why Botswana. People know Botswana as a thriving diamond mining economy. We never really associated with energy interests, and here you are.
Yes, it's a bit of a novel way. Botswana has quite a number of rich coal deposits, and I think quite a lot of them are deemed to be gas bearing. A lot of coal layers actually contain gas. And coal bed methane is a methodology by which you drill a well into that coal bed rather than build a shaft like in a coal mine. And you pump out the water via that well. So you pump the water out to reduce the pressure, and then the example then that coal seam starts bleeding or feeding a little bit of gas. And so it's a novel way of extracting gas from coal beds. And particularly in Australia, this is quite a well-established practice. And we looked at coal bed methane opportunities around the world, and we came to the conclusion in Sasol Petroleum International that Botswana may be an opportunity to investigate. Right. And hence we joined with a reputable player like Origin to jointly, in a 50-50 partnership, to say, well, why don't we try to see if we can get a position and test the concept. And that's the reason for entering. Okay,
so as you're saying that some of these technologies have been developed in Australia, so Origin comes with expertise. How's the 50-50 joint venture going to work, and what's your time frame? Are you going to be partnering for the next 2 years or for a lifetime?
Well, a good partnership should be for a lifetime. But we enter on equal basis, which is also, I think, so there's no tension between one has a bigger interest than the other. I think we have quite unique supplementary skills, because Origin indeed is the leading coal bed methane or coal seam gas player in Australia. Mind you, also in North America, coal bed methane is becoming quite important. And we bring, of course, the regional knowledge and also quite a bit on the gas monetization options. So I think it is set out to be a good partnership. And the first phase of this partnership will see us developing activities for 2 years, where we're going to drill some test wells to see if the concept is really working. And we'll also be doing quite an extensive data gathering campaign. And after that 2 years, which is an exploratory phase, then we hope to prove that there is more than just a technical case, but also an economic case. And then we'll take it one step further, perhaps to consider developing it.
Obviously, the project over the next 2 years, as you're saying, is in the exploratory phase. What is it going to cost you? How are you going to finance it?
Ventures like this, you need to think in a couple of tens of million US dollars. Both companies are generating a lot of cash out of their existing operations. So this is basically self-financed on a 50-50 basis.
Now, Origin has basically done their mathematics, and they believe that if they find gas deposits, that can be led to production. For them annually, they see revenues of about 10 to 15% growth. For you, are you that bullish?
Well, Origin actually stated that they're a relatively young company, and they've been growing quite a bit over the past 10-15 years of their existence, and they have been growing at a rate of 15% by doing ventures like entering in Botswana. And so their outlook is that it's part of their portfolio approach that they'll be growing continuously. We are equally optimistic about this, but I wouldn't like to be pinned down to 15% growth on growth. Although also in Sasol Petroleum International, we've seen quite formidable growth numbers, and we are on a growth journey as well in the coming 10 years.
Now, obviously, as you say, formidable. We know the reputation of Sasol as a foremost leader in the gas to liquids area of technology. A lot of work that you've done in the Caucasus, in Eastern Europe, in Africa. How is this project going to enhance your portfolio and also your innovations as a company?
Well, it is for us. It fits in our portfolio because clearly in the region of South Africa, which we loosely define as Southern Cone Africa, the economy is very much based on coal. And as Sasol, we want to be an agent that helps to diversify the feedstock to the local economies. And with that respect, we think natural gas plays a significant role, as is evidenced by our investments in Mozambique, the natural gas project, which has been on stream since 2004. But we think we want to do more. We want to see if there's more gas in the region that could feed a very interesting economy in this area. And gas like coal bed methane, could be part of the solution, just like it could be shale gas or conventional exploration. So we have very actively pursued a number of growth opportunities to see if we can find more gas, because this region could dearly need it. So the fit to our strategy is clearly that we want to shift from a portfolio that is more gas, and also for the upside case, let's assume if it really is big, we would like to use that gas for power generation, or we would like to consider putting it into pipeline and, for instance, bringing it to our chemical plants in Sasolburg or Secunda to create transportation fuel. So for us, it's a feedstock matter into a downstream monetization option.
Now, Ebbie, we're heading into COP17 and a new international regime on climate change. So we are looking for safer and greener options. Now, it's a debate. Is natural gas a cleaner option to other forms of energy? You can enlighten us on this one. And if indeed it is it cost effective? Because there's been the whole argument that carbon sequestration is so expensive. So even if you pursue it, the commercial viability isn't guaranteed.
Yeah. Well, I want to separate two things. One is, of course, a cleaner feedstock for energy. And without any doubt, gas is one of the cleanest fossil fuels that you can use as feedstock. It has low emissions, and it's also very versatile, because indeed you can create electricity, you can create chemical products, but also through Sasol's technology project you make clean transportation fuels. It has much lower emissions, and that is well recognized. Of course, it is not cleaner than total renewable energy. Solar power is of course cleaner because you don't burn anything, but in terms of the fossil fuels, it's without doubt the cleanest fuel. The cost of it, and that's a bit of the issue we have in the South Africa region. When you have an abundance of low-cost coal, gas has not always been able to compete with low-cost coal. However, if on low-cost coal you would look at rising cost of coal and also emissions taxes, then I think gas could very rapidly become a far more competitive fuel. And part of it, the cheap end of the spectrum, is already competitive because we are bringing gas from Mozambique into South Africa as we speak. But it is a matter of what the market will bear. And of course, with the recent price hikes in electricity in South Africa, it becomes a fact that feedstock, you can pay more for feedstock if electricity prices go up as well.
Outside of Botswana, are we likely to see other exciting projects coming out of Sasol in the region?
I hope so. It's clearly we're putting our first toe in the water here, but our ambition is that if it works, to be able to see if we can scale that project up and make it bigger. It is typically one of those concepts. There always will be critics or skeptics about it when you enter into such a venture, but once it's proven and it becomes commodity, people say, well, why didn't I think of that? So we're making a first move here with a clear view that if it works, we want to scale up, we want to expand our business.